Hey guys, okay, sorry, I am a couple minutes late this evening. We were watching the game and I wasn't paying attention to the time. I was like, oh shoot, I need to go. So, welcome to the Makeup Masterclass series. Tonight is class one, and we're going to be talking all about eyes. And I went ahead, as you can see, I did one eye because my goal is to really try and keep these classes to 30 minutes or less. Because you have the playback, you can always come back and watch this as many times as you want, over and over and over again. And you really just want me to get to the point, right? So we're going to dive right in. If you have your samples, make sure you go ahead and get those out. I am going to be working out a full size, but your sample card should look like this. There were two cards. One has more pinks and purples and silvers, and the other one is more browns and golds. Either one is great. Whichever one you prefer, go with that one. If you want to mix and match, that's totally fine too. You can, kind of pick and choose what colors you want to use, because there are techniques in makeup, but there's no wrong way to actually do makeup. So whichever colors you want to use, totally up to you. So on this eye, I went ahead and did our pink, purples, and silvers over here. So I am going to be working off of this browns and golds tonight on the video. So first things first, before we dive all the way in, I want to talk about eye shape really quickly. So like I said, there's no real wrong way to do makeup, but there are techniques that can be used to best enhance your features. And so one of those things with your eyes is the placement of your eye color. And so the highlight is going to be this lightest shade that you see in here. And again, this is a guide because I don't even fully agree with what this says, but that's just my personal preference. So the lightest color is going to be your highlight. The base shade is going to be this maroonish color. And then the crease is going to be your bluish color. So this is a standard eye, and I wouldn't really say standard eye is actually the most common. The most common is really more of a combination of hooded with standard or hooded with deep set from personal experience. And so I have what's called partially hooded eyes, which is kind of a combination between hooded and standard. And so hooded, what that means is when you open your eyes, let me go back to me. Take this off for just a second. Hooded is when you open your eyes, you see very little of the actual lid down here. Mine doesn't completely disappear, but it almost disappears. And so the reason it's important to know things like that is because that impacts how far out you take your color or where you put your color. So it's pretty easy to see the slight difference between these two. Standard, you put your accent color really kind of in your crease, whereas hooded, you'll put some in your crease, but you drag it out. Same thing over here with wide set versus close set. So wide set is where your eyes are more than one eye width apart. And so what you do is you put your darker color more towards the middle to help bring them closer together. On close set, which is I don't know if you guys can see my mouse or not, but you can see where close set is. You want to have more of your dark color out here, and that close set is where your eyes are less than one eye width apart. And so having that darker color out here is going to help pull your eyes apart visually. Deep set, you want to again drag your color further out because you're trying to make the appearance of your eyelids not being as deep back in. So you're kind of bringing them forward a little bit. And then single eyelids, which is more of like Asians have typically single eyelids or mono eyelids where they don't have the natural crease. And so you're building in that natural crease with darker color. The main thing we're going to talk about tonight is standard and hooded. And if you registered for this, I will email a copy of this and a couple other, actually just this, I think, is the only thing I'm going to email out after the class so that you have an actual copy of this, so that if you're trying this again later, that you have that where you can actually look at it. So let's go ahead and dive in with the colors. So I went ahead and made a big size so that if you can't read the card, which I don't think there's anybody that registered that can't read this card, but just in case, I made it really, really big, so it's really easy to see. So we're going to be working off of the bottom row for me, but whatever colors you choose is great. So I'm going to be using our Mary Kay brush set, and the first thing I'm going to do is grab my all over color brush, and I am going to dip that right into biscotti. Oh, no, right there. Let me grab my mirror so that I can see what I'm doing. Let me take those colors off. I think we did it. Okay. So I'm going to dive into the biscotti, and I'm going to put that from my brows down to my crease. And because of my coloring, yes, it very much blends into my skin. If you're a little bit darker than me, it's going to show up a little bit better as a highlight. But the main thing you're wanting to do is highlight and accentuate your brow bone to help make everything look lifted. And it does not take much. And if you choose to, you can absolutely, I know the old school way is to use this as a base color all over your entire eye. You can 100% do that. That I choose not to, but that's just, again, a personal preference. Let me turn my phone on. Let me turn it on. Do not disturb. Sorry, I'm getting text messages because the baseball game's happening. All right. So, see, that just evens everything out. And the next thing I'm going to do is take, I like to use the eye smudger brush for this personally. And then I will follow up with the blending brush as I'm blending. But some people like to apply color with the blending brush for this step. I personally don't. So I'm going to use my hazelnut next out of this one, which is my lighter brown color. And this is what I call a transition shade, meaning it's going to help your colors transition as they blend, so that you don't have the harsh lines from having the different colors on your eye, because you want a very blended, seamless look, unless you're doing something like a graphic eye, which is not something that you would do in your everyday look, and most people wouldn't even want that anyway. So, okay. Now, as you can see, I kind of did it in my crease and slightly out, and then a little bit out here at the corner. And again, because I have a partially hooded eye, when I blend, I'm going to blend up and out to help pull that color further out. But by applying it lower and blending it out, it makes it so that it's a much softer transition. And I know I'm so pale, it's hard to see, but I promise as we go along, you will be able to see. But it does add just a little bit of depth and dimension right there. So then I'm going to take, again, my all over color brush, and I'm going to dip into, here, Candlelight. And if you've used Mary Kay for a long time, Candlelight's very similar to Honey Spice. They're just ever so slightly different. So it's a great color for just about everyone. And you'll see I'm patting, not sweeping back and forth. And I'm patting because when you pat your eye color on, it's going to give the most pigmented concentration of color, which is what I prefer. If you prefer just a wash of color on your eyes, you can by all means just sweep it on. I like to really pack it on there in the best way possible. I always joke, I kind of make myself look a little bit like a clown, but by the end it's all blended and it looks as it should. All right, so there's my Candlelight. And then I'm going to go back with my blending brush and just blend right along that line. Now, I could totally stop here, maybe take my brush and add just a little bit more of that hazelnut to darken my eye, just for an easy, everyday makeup look, going running errands, running to the office, things like that. Add my eyeliner, I'm good to go. That's a great everyday look, and that's actually a look that I do very, very, very frequently. But since we're playing with makeup tonight, we're going to take it a step further. So let's say you did wear this all day, and then you just want to transition from daytime to nighttime. So you have date night or holiday parties coming up, things like that. Then you can go in and just add some of these other colors to it to completely transform the look from daytime to nighttime. So the next step, we are going, where to go? To grab our eye crease brush. And I love to use this for this step because of how thin the brush is and because it's angled. So tonight I'm going to use Merlot, but I also gave you guys, is it Rustic Bronze? What is the name of this color? Burnished Bronze, excuse me. Burnished Bronze. This is another color that I love to do in my crease, but I'm going to come back and use that to help darken it even more. So I'm going to do Merlot, and you just get a little bit, tap your brush in there. And, I mean, see, it does not take a lot to get it on there. And I come out here and make a line this way and this way. Almost like, kind of like an elongated V. And you want to, again, do the darkest furthest out. So I'm going to set that down. Again, come back in with my blending brush. And you can do circles, windshield wiper motions, back and forth, whatever works best for you. Or a combination of all of those. Sorry, I'm probably flashing you guys with that mirror. It's really bright. And I'm just using some residual color that was left on my brush. I got the line a little too fine. Okay. So see, it's pretty blended. But again, the concentration of color is out here at the edge. And you could stop there. But again, we're playing, so I'm going to show you guys a step further. You do not have to wear all of these colors on your eye. That is absolutely not required. This is just if I was doing a really, dramatic, glammed up look. I'm going to go in back with my eye smudger because it's got such a fine point on it into that burnished bronze and get just a smidgen, like that much. And on the innermost part of this V, I'm going to add a little bit of color there. And again, this just gives it a little more depth and dimension. This is something for fun. This is not something you absolutely have to do. Okay. Take the smudger brush again. All right. Now, it's the same thing if you did the purples over here. I did Sweet Plum out here. And I actually, instead of taking the Frozen Iris into further in my crease, because obviously Frozen Iris is not as dark as Sweet Plum, if I was going for the same technique over here, I would have flip-flopped them and done the Frozen Iris and then with the Sweet Plum. But if you're doing purples and you were following the exact same steps and did the purples that way, it's totally fine. And then I did the Frozen Iris actually under here. So I'm going to come back over here and I will go along my lash line with that burnished bronze along my lower lash line in just a second. What I'm going to do first, I know this is a little out of order. The next thing I do is actually eyeliner, because then I come back in, eyeliner, and then my under eye corrector, because I have not done that on this eye. And then my final step is to go in with my crystalline right here in the inner corner. But I do that last, and I do the lining of my lashes with my other color after I have put my foundation and this side foundation and under eye corrector and powdered, so that I don't get the like browns and purples all mixed in with my under eye corrector, because under eye circles are purple. We don't need to add more purple to it. So that's why I save that until last. So if that feels a little funky, I'm sorry. That's just my personal methodology of doing it. So I've already got foundation on. Let me just add a little bit under here. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of my under eye corrector. And blend that in. See, just like that. Looks so much better already. And then just a little bit of my concealer. And side note, if I'd had a lot of fallout underneath my eye from the darker colors before I started this, I would have cleaned that up first, because you don't want the fallout to stay there and they get smeared around. Because again, purples and browns don't do good things under your eyes. So I like to blend mine. I know we have a concealer brush. I personally really just like to blend it in with my foundation brush. And so I actually keep a separate foundation brush for doing my concealer and under eye corrector from my regular foundation. Okay. Powder that real quick. I've got just a little bit of powder left on here. Okay. So now we go back to the eye. I guess I would have done eyeliner first, but it's fine. It's totally fine. So I'm going to be using our new Mary Kay eyeliner, waterproof. If you have not seen them yet, these are it. So I'm going to be using black tonight. And of course, Steely and Brown came back, but they also brought back blue. So again, if you've been a long time Mary Kay user, you know we had blue eyeliner and purple and green for a very long time, and then they phased them out, and then we only had black, brown, and gray. And so they brought back the blue because that was probably the most requested and the most popular like color besides what we already had. So we have them back. Yay! And these are actually so smooth. These are probably some of the smoothest eyeliners I have ever used. And of course, we do have eyeliner available in a gel form that comes in a little pot. And then we also have a liquid waterproof felt tip pen, which I also love. But this is like probably my everyday go-to. And so you want, when you're doing your eyeliner, you want to make sure that you're getting as close to the lash line as possible with minimal tugging. Now, I wish I could say that I'm one of those that I can look at my, look down and, just line my eyes that way. I am not. This is the real world. I do slightly tug, but you have to be very, very, very careful, because, of course, you don't want to pull so hard to cause more wrinkles to form in the eye area, because it is so delicate. So I am going to kind of break the rule and tug just a little bit just to keep my eye taut. But what you want to do when you're doing your eyeliner is you want to start at the outermost corner, because what happens is we tend to be kind of heavy-handed when we put it down. And so when you put it down, that tends to be the thickest placing of your eyeliner. And so I start out here, and then you want to work your way in. And then I always go back over it, going out to smooth it out. And you want it to be thinner towards your inner corner and thicker towards your outer corner. And the reason you want to do that is because, again, it helps elongate, or not elongate. It makes your eyes look more open and bigger. That does not sound great, but it gives your eyes the appearance of being larger than what they necessarily are. And so the more open they look, the more awake you look, and typically the kind of the younger that you look because your eyes look like awake and refreshed. Let me finish this real quick. I always tell people you want to start with thinner rather than thicker because you can easily add more, but it's much harder to take it off, especially when you've already got your eye makeup on. Okay, so my hack, trick, whatever, to perfect eyeliner, I draw it on with a pencil and I move it around with an angle brush because I wish that I could be one of those amazing girls like that you see on YouTube that like they draw a cat eye and it's spectacular and perfect. That is not me. I love makeup. I'm great at makeup, but eyeliner and I have never been super best friends. So what I do is I get it on. And the great thing about our eyeliners is they're so smooth, so you can work with them. So I like a winged eyeliner. Back to the outside. I need to add just a little bit more. You also have to work a little bit more quickly than what I did. I was talking too much. There we go. Now, you can absolutely just stop your eyeliner at the end of your eye. Again, I just like a little bit of a wing. Not a big heavy one. Like I'm not going for the like 70s cat eye. Like I just like a little bit of a flick at the end of my eyeliner because again it just helps draw everything up. Now you will notice I did not go under my eye. Personal preference, I used to, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and I still do occasionally. But I personally prefer to just use a darker shadow or like my um accent color that I've got here, like the Merlot or the burnished bronze, and just drag that along my under eye. And the reason is because, again, the darker you make it under your eyes, the more it drags you down. And it's okay to only line the top or to line the bottom and the top, but it is never a good idea to only line the bottom. And the reason that is because if you only line the bottom and you don't line the top, what happens is visually when people are looking at you, it drags everything down. And so it makes it look like your eyes are sagging. It makes you look more tired. And so you just don't look your best is the best way I can say it. The other eyeliner trend that I have seen that you don't see it often is to line only halfway. That's fine, but you need to make sure that you're tapering off because if you have this harsh, thick line that just stops all of a sudden, it just visually it just makes you look weird. I don't know how else to say it other than it makes you look weird. And if you have really small eyes, you definitely don't want to line the bottom of your eyes because the more lining you do, the more closed off it makes your eyes look. So again, that's why I like to use a shadow. So I am going to use the burnished bronze. And you can see I didn't get a ton. And again, it's ever so slightly thicker out here versus inside. Okay, and I'm looking and I do not have enough color up here. So if you look at yourself and like, oh, I don't have enough color, go back and add a little bit more. So I'm going back in with my angled brush, a little bit more of that Merlot. So see, this is the clown look I was talking about, where it's a really harsh line. But now I go back in and blend it out. And if you got it and it wasn't blending in properly, so say you add in your accent color like that, and you're like, man, it's really just, it's still not blending quite right. You can add a little bit of your transition color back in there with it to help it blend out a little bit better. I'm not doing that tonight, but just FYI. Okay, that is that. So now we're going to do mascara. Oh, before I get to mascara, the other thing I'm going to talk about quickly. You'll notice I gave you a mix of mattes and shimmers. And the reason I did that, you can absolutely do a completely matte eye or a completely shimmer eye. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I like to do a mixture because your shimmer shadows tend to accentuate flaws. So things like our crow's feet, wrinkles, things like that, they get accentuated by the shimmers. And so that's why I like to do a mixture of both. Plus, doing a mixture of both also gives your eye just a little bit more dimension. So that's why I really like to do a shimmer here on this part of the lid, and then do a matte or maybe a matte mixed with a shimmer out here. So just my 2 cents. So scratch that. I'm not going to do mascara next. I'm going to do brows real quick. And I used to always do my brows before I did my eye makeup. But then what I realized was part of my brows were getting covered up by the eyeshadows I was putting them on when I did my brows first. So that's why I do my brows last, and then I'll do my mascara. So really, you could do it in either order. So I use two colors. I use the blonde and the brunette because the dark blonde does not look quite right on me. It looks, for some reason, it pulls very red on my skin. I don't know why. But it just, the undertone in it does not work well with my skin tone. So that's why I do a mixture of brunette and blonde. And so I fill in very lightly with the brunette in places where my eyebrows are a little sparse. Also, I have really, really blonde brow hair. So I have a lot more brow hair than you can actually see on camera. So I have to give them a little help. Usually I dye them, but I haven't done that in a while. So when I don't, I have to touch up a little more. So that's really all I do with the brunette, is just fill in a little bit, and then I go in with the blonde and really do a good chunk of my filling in that way. And also the blonde, if you have like a lighter gray eyebrow, the blonde is a really good color as well for blondes or gray. If you have darker gray, I always recommend going with, you know, like the brunette or darker brunette. So I could totally stop there if I wanted to. But I like to use the brow gel on top. But again, that's personal preference. Again, I use the brow gel in blonde. Oh, and that is upside down. And this is a volumizing brow tint, so it's going to help hold my eyebrows in place. It's got little fibers to help add a little bit of volume to my brows, and then it's got a little bit of color. So if you're somebody who has amazing brows who did not over tweeze them in the 90s and early 2000s, you could probably get away with just, throwing the brow gel on just to add a little bit of color. My brows are still recovering. Oops. A little bit goes a really long way with this stuff. Like I've had this one for a while, so I don't have to scrape off near as much. But like for probably the first 3 months, because this stuff lasts me for a really long time. For the first probably 3 months, like I'm scraping a ton of it off the side because you really just, you don't need much, but that's all it takes. All right, and then next is mascara. So that is the full lineup of mascara. I use all of them for different things at different times, but tonight I'm going to be using our Ultimate Mascara. If you registered and got a color kit, this is the one that was in your kit. And so it's the Ultimate Mascara, so it's going to give you volume. It's going to give you, obviously, volume. Thick lashes are the same thing. But the other thing I really, really love about this mascara is it leaves your lashes feeling really, really soft and hydrated. So again, I do a layer across all my lashes, getting as close to the base as possible and wiggling as you go up to help keep your lashes from clumping together. And then I do just a little bit on the bottom. And then I go back in, and I know you should probably let it dry. I don't. Just on the outer, like, half of my lashes to apply a little bit extra, because that's where you would naturally have longer and more voluminous lashes. Again, pulling everything up and out to help the eye look bigger. And I realized I forgot to do one other thing. I forgot to go back in and use crystalline on my inner corner. So that is the one other thing. Whoa, no, we'll do that. Is this one right here. And I mean, just a smidgen for both. And you do it right here at the inner corner. And I got way more than I needed. I got enough for 2 eyes, but that's okay. Right at the inner corner. See? Like, that's it. And that just helps bring light into the inner corner of your eye. Again, makes your eyes look more awake, more open. So that's it. Let me add a blush real quick, and then my look will be done. Because see, I look a little funky. And that's another tip. I know we're not talking about blush tonight, but do your blush even after you've got your lipstick on, because once you add lipstick, it changes the coloring of your face. And if you don't have lipstick on, or if you put your blush on and then go put your lipstick on, you might come back and be like, oh, what happened to my blush? It's because coloring changed. Okay, so there's that. And like I said, I've already got lipstick on. If anybody's wondering, it's this one. It's the Must Have Mauve, the liquid lipstick that we came out with a couple months ago. That was limited edition. That I think it's sold out on the website, but I still have some. Thank you, Cheryl. So a couple other things really quickly. If you did not register for tonight's class, but you're watching and you're like, oh, I want to go back and follow the replay with those specific colors. If you'll just text the word color, to my office at 972-778-6834. And I'll text you back. Really, I just need your mailing info, and then I will get that shipped out, mailed out tomorrow morning, or the next day, whenever it is that you text me. So that is that. If you registered, I will also, like I said, email you a copy of this eye shapes flyer, so that you have that where you can actually like look at it on your phone. And then just a couple of events coming up, just to remind you guys. This Sunday, I have partnered with several other consultants. I'm not going to be on the screen, but I will be there. It's a fun event called Giftology, and it's going to be different gift giving ideas. We're also going to be giving away a bunch of prizes, like the ones that are on the screen are actually some of the prizes that are going to be given away. And then, of course, we're going to be giving away some Mary Kay products as well. So just text me if you want me to send you the link, or of course you can email me, either way. And then this week, of course, was week 1 of our makeup masterclass. Next week, we're going to be talking all about skin prep and flawless face. So all the things that you can do before you actually put your foundation on, and then all the things, just tips and tricks to perfect your look, so that your face looks flawless. And then, of course, November 2nd, we're going to be doing contouring and defining. And then November 9th, the glam touch. So that we'll take kind of all the tips and tricks that we've learned over the last 3 weeks and put them all together, just so that you can, put your best face forward as you go into all of the holidays and the parties and all that. So if you guys have any questions, of course, just reach out and I will happily answer them. Or you can comment below and I will come back and answer them or touch with you one-on-one. So have a great night. Thank you so much for hopping on and I will see you guys next week. Bye.